closer to him. She felt the race of his pulse as he held her, and the last song of the evening, Kelly Clarkson's "A Moment Like This," started to play. Nathan swallowed before taking a step back. "Here's to new beginnings," he breathed. Chapter 1. 11 years later. "Jack! Jack! Come back, Jack!" Lisa thudded through the undergrowth, trying not to stumble on the tree roots amongst the ferns and moss of the damp forest floor. Walking, she had felt cool under the canopy of the trees. Now that she was running, there seemed to be a lack of air. She couldn't fill her lungs fast enough, and she could taste the pungent, earthy smell that hung in the atmosphere. "I am so not cut out for this." Her chest felt tight and her shins burnt. Her life in London, sitting in an office, had not prepared her for this. She had only been pet-sitting for 2 months, and this was her second runaway. How could working with dogs have turned out to be so very different to writing about them? Blazing a trail through Houghton Forest, well, attempting to run through it anyway, she missed the comfort of her desk and the security of her old job. Writing for Paws About Town magazine didn't seem so bad now, did it? Lisa thought about her desk tucked in the corner of the office, the unpredictable air conditioning that blew hot and cold on her, and her colleagues who did the same as deadlines drew near. Absence really was making her heart grow fonder. She looked at the blue poo bag in her hand, swinging back and forth as she ran. This was all so desperately unglamorous in comparison. "Jack! Jack!" The name was becoming more of a pant than a shout as she tried to coordinate the difficult act of breathing with bellowing. Perhaps she should conserve her energy. She hadn't actually seen Jack for a while. He could even be out of earshot. Leaning against a lichen-covered tree, she paused in an attempt to catch her breath. Trying to listen over the sound of her own breathing, Lisa hoped to hear Jack making a kerfuffle somewhere. But there was not a single giveaway sound. An image of Winnie's face slipped into Lisa's mind, and she knew returning without Jack was not an option. That dog meant everything to that dear, sweet old lady. Winnie had been Lisa's first client when she started her business, the first person to put their faith in her. The weight of that faith pressed firmly on Lisa's shoulders now. She had to think what to do. Maybe he had headed back to the van without her. Lisa imagined Jack wagging his happy tail, waiting for her to return, looking at her as if she had been the one who had gone missing all along. And if he wasn't there, though she didn't want to think too much about that, at least heading back to the van meant she could catch her breath. Then she could come up with a plan and beg the people in the tea kiosk to ask everybody they served if they had seen a cross-eyed black Labrador with a grey beard and the deceptive speed of a whippet. Maybe they would even announce it on their tannoy. Well, not the part about the cross eyes and the speed, but the fact Jack was missing. Then everybody would know to look out for him. That seeming the best, perhaps even her only option, Lisa pulled the laces on her hiking boots a little tighter in readiness to set off again, and winced at the blisters she could feel forming. Like her, the boots weren't made for running. Glancing at the trees surrounding her, Lisa began to panic. In her desperation to follow Jack, she had left the path and was unsure which direction to head off in. It all looked so similar now. As her eyes flicked from tree to tree, searching for something familiar, the branches seemed to move in a little closer. Suddenly, the notion she was lost and alone sent a cold shiver down her sweaty spine. Not wanting to loiter on the spot any longer, Lisa took a punt on the direction and set off again. Loneliness was something she was used to from her life in London, but actually being alone, occupying a space entirely by herself, that hardly ever happened. Thudding along again, her pace was now more of a slow jog, while her arms and face did all the actions of a speedrunner. Finally glimpsing a path, she burst through the line of trees, stumbling onto the ground before a pair of middle-aged walkers complete with all the gear. They stopped abruptly at her sudden appearance. Attempting to catch her breath,